everyone. Hope all is well. Um, my name is Damien Tullier. I am the broker owner of the Tullier Property Group here in the greater Baton Rouge area. And so what we're going to do here tonight, excuse me, is we are going to get into just some updates on the real estate market and what, there we go. I want to go ahead and share some information about the market. My goal is to keep people informed through some pretty regular Facebook type video that we're doing here, going to do here tonight, to be able to help answer any questions that you may have about the real estate market and to be able to provide any additional information that you may need about the real estate market to be able to make the most informed decision that you can make. So I'm going to go ahead and load up. I prepared a presentation, and so I'm going to go ahead and get that loaded up so that we can talk a little bit about what's going on in the real estate market, and hopefully we can get questions answered. So let me go ahead and get that. Whoops, hit the little wrong thing. Let me go ahead and get this squared away. I think y'all can see that presentation now. And so let's go ahead and talk about this. And so again, my name is Damien Tullier. I am the broker owner of Tullier Property Group. I have been licensed in the state of Louisiana since 2012. Worked for many years as a RE/MAX agent, and now have recently, in the last last month or so, have opened up my own brokerage. And so I'm looking to continue to provide great service for my clients, for any other clients that need help, going forward with their real estate needs. So we're going to talk a little bit each week about what's going on in the market. Here's our little outline of what I want to accomplish. My goal is to keep this video anywhere between 8 and 12 minutes, and that way it's it's something easy that somebody can watch if they're interested in it. But let's talk a little bit about statistics, a little bit about some of the new listings that are hitting the market this week, and then I have some seller tips, and then we'll do a little Q&A session at the end if anyone has any questions. So what about market statistics? There's a lot of things we hear about the real estate market that I think we could, we have questions about, and so I want to address some of those right here. And one of the things we'll talk about is just kind of some home sales statistics. And so what we're looking at here is home statistics from January 24, and then compared to what we have so far. Now, obviously the month is not yet finished. And end of the month is always the busiest closing time for any real estate title office. So I do expect there to be numerous more closings between now and the end of the month. Not quite sure if it'll surpass that 500 as it did last year, but we will see here in a couple weeks. If we look back, homes sold in the last few weeks here in the Baton Rouge area, the week of January 14th through the 20th, we had 110. Last week, we had several less, but at the same time, we got to remember that we had a massive snow event and freeze event that probably delayed. I know it delayed a few closings that I had, but it delayed some of the progress. So that's not a surprising number today. So let's talk a little bit about the average sales price. What has the market been doing? Where is it going? How is January 2024 compared to January 2025? So in 2024. We were around 290-ish, 290 some, and some change for an average sales price. And then now so far through January, we're 297.9. So we're almost at 298. So it is higher. That is a strength in the market, a sign of a strong market. So definitely some pluses there. Year over year, if we look at it again, going back to 2023, last year in 2024, our average price was $300,700. And looking back at that. So, that first statistic, that monthly statistic, maybe not quite as telling as a statistic like this where we look year over year. Compare 2023 to 2024, and we're certainly, have a continued rise in housing prices. I know many years ago, not that many, but a few years ago, there was a lot of talk about a real estate bubble. And are we on the verge of a real estate bubble and a crash? And with housing prices doing what they did after COVID, a lot of that has a lot of relationship to inflation. But we're still steadily moving forward. We're steadily moving up in the value of homes. And so I don't see right now, at least as of the moment, I don't see that stopping. So one other thing that we look at when it comes to home prices and how quickly homes are sold is something what's called an absorption rate. And as you can see on this slide, an absorption rate is the rate at which homes sell in an area over time. This absorption rate, anything that's close to 20% or over is associated more with a seller's market, while an absorption rate below 15% or more in that regard is associated with, and I guess we have a visitor from the dog, associated more of a buyer's market. And so when we look at today's statistics, we're looking for solds in the last 30 days divided by the active listings, and that's going to give us our actual rate. So we have 467 solds, 27 active listings. And so that gives us an absorption rate just under 16%. So if you remember in that previous slide, I'll go back to it, we are probably a little bit closer to a buyer's market than we are a seller's market, but we're still kind of in that in between. The market is definitely a little bit softer than what it used to be. And that is evident, I think, in these statistics and what we see as going on. And so in the last 30 days, we have an average days on market for homes that are on the market for 69 days. And then when we look at our ratio, our listing ratio to sold ratio, so our average list price is here, average sold price over the last 30 days is there. That comes out to about 97% of asking price. And, now if you stop and you looked at this back in 2020, 2021, this number was over 100% because people were offering over asking price. And a lot of different offers were being received on houses, but we have very different market conditions at this time. So definitely something that's going to change. New listings, how are we progressing with new listings? Some people think, oh, well, the market's dead. The interest rates are too high and this and that. Well, no, not really. There's still houses that get listed and there's still houses that get sold. And so if we look at that the last 7 days versus previous 7 days, again, the ice storm, the snowstorm, I think probably has a direct reflect as to that number being that much lower. All right. Hopefully that covers a good bit of statistics. And now let's talk about something a little bit more fun. A couple of new listings that I thought were really kind of cool. I wanted to highlight. So you got this, all three of these are going to be new constructions. 2,272 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. This is located just off of Jefferson and Bluebonnet in that part of town. And then you've got, we pulled one from Ascension. So this is more of a first-time home buyer's price point. This is actually a little attached unit. It could be a first-time home buyer, or it also could be somebody who's looking to downsize, a couple that's looking to downsize, kids are grown, empty nester type situation. They just looking for something small, minimal yard, not having a lot of issue with, with maintenance and things like that. And so this would be a great opportunity down in Ascension Parish for something like that to be able to be, to be considered for, for somebody who's looking for, like I said, something to downsize. And then we scooting on out to Livingston Parish. We've got this, that's a huge house. Should be 1,510, square feet. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 256.9. This is also a townhome, so it's an attached home. So you've got some opportunities for some different types of homes in the area that are out there. So, let's go over a little bit as we transition out of the listings. Let's go over a little bit and talk a little bit about some seller tips. If you are out there this year and you are considering selling your home, you're probably asking yourself, should I do it? Is it a good time? Yes, it is. I think it is a good time to sell your house, especially now that we're coming into, February, March, and April, which, lead into some of the busiest times of the real estate industry in the city. And so, but one thing we need to make sure that we do is we need to make sure that we are following some very key principles when it comes to listing your home. And so some of the things I want to talk about today is setting the right price entry point for your house. When we look at a price entry point, this is basically the initial price that is going to reflect where the current market trends are in your area. So if we're dealing with, a house that's in a subdivision, we can kind of build a pretty quick range usually, depending on the number of sales that have taken place in the last 6 months in that subdivision, versus something that maybe is a little bit more of a rural property that's out, maybe in a little bit more rural area. Maybe it's on a couple of acres or different things like that. But there's still going to be a right price entry point to be able to, enter into the market for your house to be able to be in its best position to actually have a chance to sell. So the second thing we want to make sure is that we understand the competition. So one of the things that's key about price entry point is when we also have, when we come into the market, we've got to consider where is everything else on the market, where is it priced? And so I'm going to bring back a little bit of an old example, some of us who remember the Kmart blue light special. That blue light special would go off in that aisle and what would it do? It would bring people running. Why did it do that? Because that signaled that there was a discount. That signaled that there was a sale, a specific sale going on in a specific area. And so we want to make sure that when we're pricing our house, that we don't want to necessarily be on sale for the sale of our house, but we don't want to be so far above that it drives our potential buyer pool into other markets, into other competition, to be able to take a look at that. And so when we look at the entry point, we got to take that into consideration. All the other homes that are listed on the market, the days that they're listed, because we don't want to sit for an extended amount of days on market with, which then can ultimately lead to price reductions. And so when we stop and we look at, that slide that we showed a few minutes ago about the, the percentage of purchase price to sale price, we want that to be as tight as we can to that 100, because when it's tight like that, we really feel comfortable and confident that we hit the price and what the house is worth, so that we don't have a situation where the house just sits on the market. So definitely something to consider. And then also, we want to make sure that we are in the market, but not above the market. And what we mean by this is that anytime you price your house, there is a price range, a natural range that is built by other sales, previous sales in the last 6 months, usually is how we gauge that have taken place. And we want to make sure that we are priced in that range. Does that mean a house can't go above that range? No, but it's got to be able to be justified. If you live in a neighborhood where the average price per square foot is $175 and the high is let's say 182, and you want to list at 202, maybe that's not the best decision. But if your house does have some amenities that can justify that price, then that is something that has to be able to be considered as we go forward and as we look at a potential price entry point and list price. We definitely don't want to undersell. That's definitely not okay, is to leave sellers money on the table. And so we don't want to undersell. And so we got to make sure that we analyze this from all angles and compare and contrast all the possible things that we can compare. So again, a little recap: setting the right price entry point, understanding the competition, and making sure that you're in the market and not above the market, because we don't want to be on the market for longer than necessary. All right, so if you have a little bit of information that you would like a little bit more in detail, all this information I provided comes from a PDF that I have that we can set up to download. Actually, I don't have the download link just set up just yet. So I'll be working on that next week, leading up to next week, because again, I plan on doing this every week to try and provide as much great information as possible to the market. But we'll have this up. This will be coming soon. This PDF is just about polished up and just about finished. And it's going to go in detail some of the things that we just kind of talked about, because there's a lot more to it than just those few little points. But we'll be able to provide that for you for good examples. So, all right, now let's go check out our Q&A session. Let me flip back over to Facebook and see if we have any comments. We don't have any as of yet. Does anybody have any questions? Anybody have anything that they think is something that they would be interested in? Post it here. If it's not during this live video, I'd be happy to, to continue to, to check this out with you and check back and feel free to email me, call me, text me, whatever's easiest. Facebook message me if that works even better. But I'd love to be able to answer those questions for you. So, until that point in time, nobody's got any questions, so I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Glad that we are done with the freezes, and it looks like we're going into spring because it's 70 degrees all next week. But have a great night, and if you have any questions specifically, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer them. All right, hope you have a good evening. Take care.